Hello everyone, it's Debra Kasowski here, and we are going to be talking about 4 ways to define yourself and define your boundaries. Stay tuned. And when we talk about defining yourself, it's really about finding out what makes you tick, what ticks you off. It's finding out what your drivers are, what your strengths are, what are some of those weaknesses you have, and how can you leverage all of that. Really, you need to get to know thyself more than anything to be able to manage yourself, your time management, your productivity, how you show up in the world. If you want to elevate your game this year, it's really about getting to know yourself. And what I've learned is people are so busy, caught up into the day-to-day minutiae, that they don't take time to think about, what do I really like? What do I dislike? Have I even tried that before? And how do I know? But if I asked you, who are you? Who would you say you are? Very powerful question, because you are who you say you are, and your perception is your reality. So I created this video today to really get you to think about, how are you defining yourself? What are you saying to yourself about who you are? So number 2 is all about, how do you identify yourself? Number 1, we are talking about who are you, thinking about what is the drivers in your life. And now we're talking about, how do you identify? And you've heard this term, how do you identify, whether it be sexual identity, we're talking about gender, we're talking about religion, we're talking about race, we're talking about culture, so many different things in which people define themselves in the countries that they live in, the roles and responsibilities, the titles that they hold, the groups and associations that they belong to. If you're an athlete, you do this type of exercise. If you're an Olympian, you identify with these different titles and roles and responsibilities. So what are you saying you are? Number 3 is about getting really clear on your core values. Now, I don't know if you've done this exercise, but it's very powerful to identify at least 3 to 7 core values that you stand by. And these are things like trust, respect, unconditional love, gratitude, wisdom, committed to continuous learning, perseverance. These are some of the core values that people hold, and it's important when you identify your core values, what's most important to you. This is kind of going to be your code of honor in how you live your life, how you make decisions, how you operate every single day. Now, I can tell you right now, if you're having any struggle in your life, if you're having any challenges, it's because there is a crossing of boundary or something mixed up with core values. And not everybody is going to have the same core values as you. But how are we able to work with other people who do not have the same core values? And understanding that struggles will occur when core values don't align. So it's really important, especially if you're, forming a business and hiring people or going into an organization, to know their core values. What do they stand by? Who are the people in that culture? Will they align with what I believe in, and will it be a right fit? So when you know that there's a right fit, that's where the magic and energy and empowerment and impact can happen. But it has to be the right fit, the right core values. Now, the other thing is to recognize that your past shapes you. It doesn't define you. And what I've learned also is that people, sometimes their past, they think so heavily on the baggage of their past that they're not present in the moment. They don't have the energy to move forward and create the future that they want to, because they have these plans for the future, they can envision them, but they're so caught up back here that they can't bring that energy into the present. So don't let your past define who you are. It shapes who you are. It brings new awareness, that reflection, that growth, and then you make new decisions and you move forward, creating the future that you want. So really, it's about knowing thyself. How do you identify yourself? Because your perception creates your reality. What are those core values that you live your life by, that to your core is of what defines who you are? And remembering that your past shapes you. It does not define you as you move forward. The other thing is about defining your boundaries. Now, when you define your boundaries, what you're doing is you're telling people what your needs are, what your wants are, what your thoughts are. You teach people how to treat you. And by putting this boundary or this line, what you're doing is you're keeping some people out. And then there's some people that you put that boundary there because you still want them in your life. And by having that boundary, you create where it's acceptable and not acceptable in how you get treated or how you connect with those people. So you set your boundary of what you want for your life based on your core values and knowing who you are. Because taking responsibility for your life, your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, and the results that you're getting is the only way you're going to create magic in your world. And it comes down to defining yourself, setting the right boundaries, and taking full responsibility for those thoughts, those feelings, those actions. They're all yours. And you're in control of those things, not how other people respond. You're in control of how you respond or react in any situation. Realizing you don't have to settle for less than you deserve. Whatever you believe you deserve, that's what you're going to get. And why not elevate your game so that you can see that you deserve a whole lot more? Don't settle. Go for the top. Define yourself. Get really clear on who you are and what you stand for and the impact that you want to live. The final question I want to leave you with today is, what is it that you want your life to stand for? What is it that's going to give it the most meaning, the greatest legacy that you want to leave in this world? Make a commitment to yourself, because those who make a commitment are the ones who are going to move forward and demonstrate that in everything that they do.